You are now listening to Can't Feel the Heat, the Coachella Valley Music and Arts Festival unofficial podcast, the #1 Coachella podcast on the internet. Our mission is to explore the complexities of Coachella, covering the news, music, artists, technology, culture, and business of the greatest music festival in the world. Our guest today is Michael Milano.
How's it going?
Welcome, Michael. Michael has played Coachella before, back in 2011 at the Energy Factory stage. We're definitely going to ask him all about that. And Michael also runs the set time predictions thread on the Coachella Reddit. Co-hosting with me today is Enrique Lopez. What's up, Rico?
What up? Happy to be here.
Woo! Yeah, we got a good guest today. Michael, you played Coachella. Wow.
Yeah, man. Yeah, that was super crazy. Weirdly enough, that was actually my first real gig of sorts. You know, I had done house parties and things like that and up here in San Francisco. But that was my first, thing where I actually, my first festival or I had never even done a club before then, honestly. I had, like I said, done house parties and things. And the way that worked, it was sort of like, how EDC does those discovery projects where, you can send in a mix, and I think they ask for an original track and stuff like that. Coachella that's exactly what they did in 2010 and 2011, specifically for this one Energy Factory stage. Unfortunately, 2011 was the last year it was there. There were stationary bikes, there were people on seesaws, like hand cranks, that was people in these big hamster wheels on the side of each stage, running in these hamster wheels and powering the stage up. It was an amazing experience, to say the least.
Where was it?
It was in between. So obviously the festival's changed a whole bunch. Back then it used to go Gobi, Mojave, Sahara, kind of back to back to back. It was in between the Mojave and the Sahara. Okay. So it was great. Like, I was looking over my shoulder, and I saw the big duck sauce duck, in the Sahara tent, and I ended my set and I sprinted over to the Mojave for Rat-a-tat.
Oh my God.
It was incredible.
This brings me back because 2011 was my first one. So,
awesome.
So yeah. I do know when you're saying duck sauce and Rat-a-tat and all those, those are like the bands that I remember from my first one. And I do remember now that when you mentioned where it is, that entire setup. We love that area. That was a cool area.
Oh yeah. Yeah, it was great. At night, it was kind of cracking off a little bit. Actually, it was a lot of fun, man. It was a lot of fun.
Oh, that sounds amazing.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
What was your first year, man? What was your first year?
My first year was 2009.
Oh, cool. Nice.
Yeah, I was actually the director of concerts at University of San Diego, and I was able to get a VIP pass for free from one of my connections in the music industry. So that was pretty cool. Yeah.
Oh, that's
and
awesome.
Then from there, I was like, okay, not turning back. I was sold at that point. I've never gone VIP. Have you ever gone VIP before?
Never. No, I'm interested, but to me, it's not really. I don't think it's worth the money personally. One day, I'll splurge and probably go and get a VIP. But at this point, I don't know. For me, there's not too much of a benefit for Coachella, at least.
Yeah, I mean, I'm kind of thinking of it like if it's an insurance policy, like if you wanted to catch an act and couldn't get a good spot, that maybe the VIP helps you just get a slightly better spot, or maybe helps you get. Is there a separate VIP entrance?
There is a separate VIP entrance.
That's nice.
That is. I forgot about that. That does help. I mean, with the gate fiasco this year, how they didn't let anybody in until 2:30 or something.
Really.
No, I don't quote me on that, but okay. I know that there was an issue with letting people. I was waiting at the gates for a good hour with masses of people, and they wouldn't let anybody in. We had to miss Elohim, and I just, wasn't too bad for me, but my whole group was pretty upset because most of them really wanted to see Elohim last year.
So it got there's a bottleneck.
Yeah, I think they stopped letting people in. I heard. Don't quote me on this, but I heard it was some bees had gotten onto the field, and so that they were trying to figure all that out. I don't know the validity to that, but I heard somebody mention that on Reddit the other day. So take that with a grain of salt, I suppose.
Interesting. Are you still a musician? Are you performing?
Oh yeah. Oh, absolutely. Yeah. I still do festivals and stuff, mostly around the San Francisco area. Like I did Bottle Rock last year, Northern Nights Festival up in the Redwoods. Those
Okay.
kind of. Yeah.
What's your stage name?
I just go by my regular name, Michael Milano, these
Okay.
days. I got tired of switching names every month when I got sick of it. You know.
Okay. So could we find you on SoundCloud or something like that?
Yeah, I haven't been quite as active on SoundCloud, but you can absolutely find me on there. Yeah, Michael Milano. I think I put official on there to make it easier.
Awesome. Well, let's talk
Yeah.
about your other hobby outside of
Yeah,
being
man.
a musician. You looks like
Yeah.
you put a ton of time into this. Your set time predictions. Tell us how you got
Yeah,
started.
man.
This. Tell us everything. This is amazing.
Absolutely. So, I mean, I put a lot. It doesn't take nearly as much time as you'd think. I mean, once you get savvy on Clash Finder, it's pretty quick, honestly.
What's
It's
Clash
it's a
Finder?
Clash Finder is a site that you can go onto and make. It's essentially for festival fake set time things like this, where you can go and like put in your little things, or real set times, I guess, if you want to have it laid out in a way that's not the templates that Coachella puts out the week of the festival, which I love, by the way. I don't know why anybody wouldn't just look at those. But so yeah, I take those and essentially I look at what the last year's times were, and I kind of make blank slots for each one, and then when the lineup comes out, I sort of fill those in with acts, do a little adjusting here and there, making certain acts longer, certain acts shorter, moving certain things later, earlier. And it's just like it's a fun puzzle that started. At least I heard about it for the first time in 2011 on the Coachella message boards, uh, and somebody else used to run it, and it's a really fun puzzle, and people arguing over who's gonna play where, people placing frozen lemonade and beer bets on who's gonna play the main stage versus the outdoor. It's a fun little thing.
Yeah, dude. So do you look at where the artist was like in the past years? You can see where the artist was on the poster and how that correlated to the set times. Is that
Yeah,
kind of
a
the main
lot of
thing?
yeah, a lot of the time you can kind of make judgment calls on that, but then a lot of the time they'll go crazy and something will happen that is out of the blue that you would never expect. It's at the end of the day, we're not really looking for super accurate predictions.
Yeah,
We know who's going to be playing on the main stage around this time, and the top three acts. Like we know Kid Cudi's going to lead into Solange, who's going to lead into Tame Impala. Like that's for sure happening.
how do you know that?
Because it just makes
It
sense.
just makes yeah.
The 1, 2, 3 acts almost always lead into each other with minor exceptions. And that's just for instance, Kid Cudi's not playing anywhere but the main stage. Neither is Solange, and obviously neither is Tame Impala. So the odds of it not going boom, boom, boom are very small. And so whereas a lot of the earlier tent acts, those are real crapshoots.
Yeah, dude.
We never get those right. Those are kind of the filler ones where we kind of put people where we hope they might be, or there's definitely speculation that goes on there. But there's only we can only be so right about those.
Yeah, it makes sense. So some of it's pretty obvious, like the fact that
Yeah.
Kid Cudi, Solange,
Tame Impala are going to go boom, boom, boom on the main. That's just almost for sure happening. If that doesn't happen, that would be crazy. Crazier things have happened. I mean, everybody was super confused when in 2015, the weekend closed the main stage after the headliner, Jack White. That doesn't really happen very often, but it sort of made sense because the headliner was really blowing up around that time. He was really kind of on his way to superstardom, and Jack White. I wasn't at that set, but I don't imagine Jack White drew quite as big of a crowd as The Weeknd did.
Okay. What about you see Aphex Twin kind of on the outdoor stage leading into Tame Impala? Do you feel pretty strongly about that? 'Cause you're talking on one of the previous episodes about where Aphex Twin's going to fit in. Obviously a unique situation.
I think the biggest call regarding that is he has this massive lighting setup. If you watch any of his more recent live videos, you'll see that it's quite big. And so a lot of people had him pegged maybe for like a closing, um, Mojave set or something like that, or maybe even the Sahara. But considering that he has this really tall lighting rig that really it really doesn't seem like it's going to fit anywhere else but potentially the outdoor or main. And I mean, we all know Aphex Twin's not going to be on the main stage. So closing the outdoor, kind of similar to how Jean-Michel Jarre.
Yeah, we were just talking about him too.
Similar to how they had him close the outdoor last year. That kind of legacy electronic set. I was at Soul Wax and Jamiroquai, so I wasn't there. But
Got it. I was listening to you had tipped me off to Polo and Pan. Am I pronouncing that right? Maybe it's
I believe
French.
that's how I pronounce it.
Yeah. Are you familiar with their live show? Did they bring out is it a bunch of flutes and stuff, or is that all pre-recorded tracks?
No, it doesn't seem like it. If you watch a really, really great live set, you can watch their Circle set, CERCLE set. It's a live set they did in France, I assume. And you can kind of get more of a feel for it. It's a DJ set, but they have, they play MIDI stuff,
Okay.
So a lot of that stuff is played live, but it's not like they'll bring out like a pan flute and do that. But they'll bring out singers and they'll play out their MIDI stuff. It's a really good set. You should definitely check that one out.
Thank you for introducing us to them. I'm definitely interested.
I'm at the very front of that for sure, like front and center. And I don't do that very often. I don't do that for really anybody, but
it might conflict with Anderson .Paak though, so that's a tough one.
That sucks. That does kind of suck.
But hopefully you're wrong on that.
Yeah. That would be a really annoying conflict, but
those conflicts, man.
Yeah, man, those good. But that's part of the fun, man. Some of my most fun memories are sprinting back and forth between all the stages and even though it sucks, getting to see like some of the better songs by this guy and being like, crap, we gotta go see this guy.
And then you got to position yourself in the right place at the show. You're like, I have to be in the back so I can run out and go to the next one down to.
Exactly, man. Yeah, that's precisely.
What other undercard stuff do you recommend? Something maybe we haven't heard of.
There's some pretty great undercard stuff. Easy Life, I'm really, really digging on Sunday. He's playing on Sunday. I have him pegged for the Sonora, but he could easily be somewhere else. Who knows? But he's really great. He's kind of got that Rex Orange County kind of chiller, but also kind of hip hoppy influenced style. And he also plays with a live band apparently, so that should be great.
That's cool.
Then there's Still Woozy. He's kind of blowing up right now. Actually, I've heard his music in a few ads lately, just randomly on like Hulu and things like that. Still Woozy's on Friday. Definitely check those guys out. Easy Life and Still Woozy are two of the guys that I'm super into.
So what kind of music is Still Woozy? It's in Sonora.
Still Woozy is kind of a similar thing actually. He also has that sort of similar kind of Rex Orange County chill, but also got some good hip hoppy kind of style. I don't really know if there's a good genre term to describe that. I'm just calling it Rex Orange County.
I missed last year, and I guess they moved the Sonora. It's not near the entrance anymore. Is that right?
Yeah. They moved it over they kind of moved it to the corner, which I don't think was a good call. I mean, they did have some pretty big acts in there, but I do think the smaller acts probably suffered a little bit more because of that. I think they're probably going to play around with that again this year. I think there's a good chance they maybe move that around again.
I was surprised at how they put the Sahara right in the front. Like the Sahara was right front center.
Well, that made a lot of sense. I mean, that made a ton of sense to put the Sahara there because in a way it's almost completely isolated. It feels like its own festival, like where that is. Like that and the Doolab are almost they're in that corner. It feels like its own like little mini electronic festival, which I kind of like that. I kind of like how it's almost like separated now in a way.
How do you feel about the headliners this year?
Honestly, I'm good with it. If I'm happy with seeing 2 of the 3 headliners, that's more than good for me. I mean, most of the time I'll see one of the headliners and be fine with that. But the fact that I'm very much interested in seeing Childish Gambino, as I've never seen him before. And I've seen Tame Impala a few times, but I mean, I've never seen them in a headlining set. So maybe I'm going in with too high expectations, but I think that's going to be a really, really fun, a really, really great set.
Yeah, don't miss Childish Gambino. I saw him at Coachella in 2013 or 20.
Yeah, you know what? I got there late, and I like kind of walked by it. So yeah, 2012, 2013. I remember.
Yeah, we were
low on the poster.
Yeah, he was in the middle of the day. We were at the show next to him, and we weren't really digging that show. I don't even remember who it was. And then all of a sudden, we see like this super hyped up show. Everybody's running to the main stage.
Yeah, I remember he played a really early main stage.
Everybody's running to the main stage. We're like, let's go over there. We got to check that out. And sure enough, it's Childish Gambino, and I think he had like a broken arm or something, or a broken foot.
Oh, really? Oh,
Yeah, he had like a broken foot. He had a cast on, and he's just going crazy. The whole crowd's going crazy. But it's crazy because that was his earlier stuff, and now he's getting a little more R&B, a little more kind of moody.
Different. Yeah, his stuff is very different.
So I think it's still going to be, a good mixture of both, but that's definitely a must.
I hope you're right. I do hope you're right. I would love to hear a little bit of his older stuff. Unfortunately, you look up some of his more recent set lists, he kind of stays away from a lot of that stuff, which is a little unfortunate. But hey, I mean, his R&B stuff is also fantastic. So I'm very excited for that.
I can't wait to see him. It's gonna be awesome.
Yeah, that's gonna be great.
Where do you stay?
So I have a place. My family actually has a spot out in Palm Springs, which is why I've been able to go for the last 12 years. This is going to be number 13. My dad was in the music business a little bit, so he's been going since 2002.
How's that drive from Palm Springs?
Oh, it's not too bad. I mean, it's, it takes probably 25 minutes to get out to the festival, maybe 30 minutes on a bad day.
What time do you have to get there to avoid traffic? Last year, 2 years ago, I missed last year, but we showed up a little late on Sunday because it was my wife's birthday. We were doing cake and everything. We got there at like 3 o'clock, and we waited in line to get in till like 5:30. It was horrible.
I heard about that. That's like my nightmare.
It was a nightmare. I had so much anxiety in that car. You can't imagine.
That's why I camp.
I'm
already at the festival.
Like nightmares like that where I don't get into the festival till the sun is like going down.
So that never happened to you though? That was like a one-time thing?
No, I mean, it's always the earlier the better. And, for me, last year was the first year I decided to camp on Saturday night with my friends because Sunday morning Sunday early afternoon, there was a bunch of acts I really wanted to see earlier on. And I just knew that my group was not going to be able to make it from my Palm Springs house. So I was like, all right, I have friends who are camping. They'll let me stay there. And so Sunday, I was one of the first 30 people in the festival, which was a brand new experience for me and a really great one. I mean, it was so empty. And really dope. I actually got to go over. I went to the Do Lab just to check out them setting it up. And a guy gave me a backstage pass to the Do Lab. So I got to just kick it back there for a lot of the day. I got to go on stage and be one of those dudes just kicking it on stage.
Did you get to spray the water?
No, I didn't spray the water. I would have loved that, but it was great. And they had free beer back there, and oh my god, I was in heaven.
He just gave it to you. Did you know him?
I he kind of had recognized me from Coachella things of the past, but I mean, not really. It's not like we were homies or anything. He just was like, hey, you want a thing? Because I was checking it out.
You're pretty well connected on the Reddit community. Correct me if I'm wrong.
More or less. I kind of really just stick to the festival ones, and I've only been doing it really for the past few years. So.
Okay. I just discovered that, because I used to do the message boards, right? And then when they closed, so they used to have official, it was called the forum, right, on the Coachella website where everyone would chat there. And then when that closed, I discovered there's a Facebook chat, Facebook Reddit, but then I never actually went on Reddit and saw all the cool content there till a couple weeks ago. So
that seems to be getting a lot better these days. There was a while that Reddit was a little, there wasn't too many rules in place. A lot of people coming in asking the same questions over and over and over again, and that's okay. But there's things that streamline it and make it a little better of better content. So it's not just hey, when did the set times come out every 10 posts? You know what I'm saying?
People seem pretty nice there too. I remember on the forum, everyone was pretty snarky and mean. You couldn't ask any question without someone posting some kind of me making fun of you for asking whatever question you were. But on Reddit, it seems like people actually like are civil.
Yeah, for sure. Don't get me wrong. I kind of miss a little bit of the snarkiness from the forum.
It was funny. I've had I would just ask a question and people would always like post that meme of Drake like looking confused or something like that. You know what I'm talking about?
I do. I believe I am.
You probably were
You
the
probably
person.
posted it.
Yeah.
Oh man, that's funny. Yeah, I mean, unfortunately, it is kind of sad that it shut down just because there were so many. It was a great hub for everything like that.
Why
And I
did they
guess
shut that down? Do you know? I guess I'd have
don't.
to ask them.
I don't. I mean, I assume money. I just wasn't making money. I guess I don't like the user base had dropped off a bit over the last few years.
Did you ever go on that forum?
No, I never got a chance to.
It was pretty cool.
But it was great. It was really fun in the last like weeks leading up. All of like the old school regulars started coming back and shit posting. Like just talking about like it was a lot of fun in the last weeks because a bunch of old school people coming back we hadn't heard from in years.
What other tips do you got? What's like maybe someone going the first time or someone's gone a few times, something to bring or just a general strategy on how to approach the weekend?
Yeah, I think my biggest tip would be, and this is something I only have really discovered in more recent years, is don't be afraid to leave your group to see things you want to see. There's going to be a strong urge always to want to stick with your group. One, you want to be with your friends at the sets. Two, you don't want to get lost later. I get that, but as long as you are good with making up meetup times and like, hey, I want to go see this. So, and I know you guys want to go see this, so we'll meet up at the weird art piece at this time,
Meeting spots are great.
Meeting spots and specific times and shit, stuff like that is really important. And then once you do stuff like that, you can be free to go see what you want to see. I spent most of last year by myself because me and my group had vastly different music tastes. I wanted to see David Byrne, they wanted to see I think Mo or something like that, and I was by myself a lot of the time. But last year was one of my favorite years, just like being so free and doing whatever I wanted, going to see whatever, just casually. One
thing that's nice is they have on the outdoor and main Coachella stage, they have the speakers numbered, I believe.
Yeah, that's true.
Or their letters.
I don't love doing it that way because you'll be like, hey, I'm under speaker 2, and then all of a sudden a huge crowd will move in, and you'll be like kind of pushed away from the speaker, and they'll be like looking around. I don't know. It's not a terrible way to do it.
Well, it's nice because then the meeting spot, you're already at a place where you can hear the show, right? So you don't need to go. You don't need to go from your meeting point to a second location. Like you're already there once you meet.
The caveat is your group has to stay in the same spot. You know what I mean? They can't like go closer to the stage or go farther away, because as soon as they do, then that one meeting spot is entirely compromised. You know what I'm saying?
Well, it's like that with any meeting spot, right? Like
that's a big reason why I don't like meeting like at an act. It'll be like, hey, if you want to see this, and I'm also gonna maybe walk over there later, let's just meet up after. I'll see you later. I'll see you later.
Or we could just meet new people.
Oh, exactly.
I've done that plenty of times.
Almost all groups are willing to adopt you into their circle.
Yeah.
Okay, so big tip is don't be afraid to go off on your own little adventure.
Yeah, seriously. As long as you are good with meeting up with them later and you can figure out spots. Don't abandon your group randomly. Don't just go wandering off. But
yeah, have a meetup spot.
Yeah,
and like you're maybe in case of emergency meetup spot also.
Exactly. And obviously the end of night meetup spot. Worst comes to worst, we don't see you at the end of the night. Meet up back here.
What's the longest you've waited in the parking lot to leave?
Yeah. Oh man. Well, there was one year, I don't remember if it was like 2010, 2012 or something, where we didn't leave the parking lot until 4:00 in the morning.
Yeah, dude.
It was crazy. They've made it better over the years. They've definitely fixed it seems like they definitely fixed it. As long as you go to the correct parking areas.
You want to come in from behind, right?
Yeah, I don't remember specifically because they moved the optimal one every so often, but I do remember one year I accidentally had my friends go to the bad parking lot, and we were stuck in that huge crowd of people, And my friends were not feeling so great, to say the least. And we were trying to somehow navigate there. My friend's passing out. Like, another big tip: make sure you find the optimal parking lots, because that's
Basically, check Reddit. If we looked on like Coachella Reddit and just typed in parking, something there'd probably be some tips there.
Yeah, that's probably. But the issue is, it seems to kind of change a little bit. Like, I remember this year parking in a parking lot I've never parked in before, but it was the most optimal one. Like, we were able to reach it really easily. So maybe.
How is someone going to find the most optimal parking lot, though? Because don't they just kind of direct you once you get in? It's like...
That's a good question.
Yeah, just get lucky.
It's a crapshoot.
No, that's a really, really good question.
If you go in weekend 2, you should be able to find out.
You kind of just got to do it. Like, there are going to be people kind of directing you, but, you know, you just got to do it. Just got to make it happen.
Awesome. Okay.
I had a question about your lineups. So how many of these have you done so far?
How many of these have I done? I believe the first one I did was 2014.
Okay.
So
14.
this will be my fifth.
Awesome. And then have you kept track as to how, like, in terms of like the success of it, or in terms of like how you were?
Not really. I don't imagine we do better than like 50%. You know what I mean? Just because there are so many, like we said, so many smaller acts that play those tents, that you really don't know when they're gonna play. They could easily play the Gobi versus the Mojave a lot of the time, especially really early on. So really, a big part of it is really just to kind of look at it and see, okay, it's possible that Polo and Pan and Anderson .Paak are going to conflict. Knowing that already, and not having only 3 days to figure that out, now you can kind of picture, okay, if they do conflict, which one do I need to go to, and which one can I maybe go see the end of? You know what I mean? Like,
or which one do you want to try to see at the local Coachella shows?
Yes, exactly.
Like
which
that.
one do you want to see on their own show, or which one would you precisely? Yeah.
Yeah, and ultimately, I think it's probably just really fun to do these, right?
Oh, it's a lot of fun. Yeah, it's a lot of fun just talking with the people who think they absolutely know where it's going to be, or me, who sometimes thinks like I absolutely know where something's going to be and be totally surprised come April when it's, you know, I was convinced last year Jamiroquai was going to be on the outdoor. Like, nobody could talk me out of that. There was no way you were going to talk me out of that. And they wound up closing the Mojave, and I was dumbfounded. So yeah, it's a lot of fun just to be stubborn, but also to be compromising.
And I'm sure you feel good when you nail it.
Oh yeah, that's some of the best feelings in the world.